Journalist Clement C. Moore published a lot, but the only piece that remains in mainstream culture is his hurriedly sketched out poem that begins, "'Twas the night before Christmas." The actual title is A Visit from St. Nicholas. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos, where we're focusing on one particular line of that famous poem. It's the phrase, "a long winter's nap." Napping is a wonderful thing, but the people referenced in the poem are actually going to bed for the night. And most likely they lived in the northern hemisphere of the planet, where the longest night of the year and Christmas Eve would line up with only a few days between them on a calendar. Theories abound that tell us Jesus was probably not born in what we know as winter, but I've seen no hard evidence to a specific date. Stories in the Bible give us conflicting hints as to the time of the year. You see, Christmas wasn't even celebrated at all for the first 300 years or so after Jesus' time on earth. The early Christians celebrated the two holy days of January 6th, called Epiphany, and Easter, but they did not celebrate the birth. The date to celebrate Jesus' birth was chosen near the pagan festivals that honored the Roman god of agriculture, Saturn, and the Persian god of light, Mithra. With the new holiday coinciding, Rome's pagan subjects then could be convinced to accept Christianity as the empire's official religion. It's also quite likely that they chose a time of great darkness, since Jesus was to be known as the light of the world. Great darkness. Great darkness, the longest night of the year, known as winter solstice. The word solstice combines the Latin words sol, which means the sun, and the word sistere, which means to stand still. Solstice is when the ancient astronomers thought the sun stood still for a day. Now that science has taught us the sun does not actually stand still, and so forth, we acknowledge solstice for many other reasons. John Matthews, a lecturer on Celtic traditions, writes this: "The solstice is a time of quietude, of firelight and dreaming, when seeds germinate in the cold earth and the cold notes of church bells mingle with the chimes of icicles. Rivers are stilled and the land lies waiting beneath a coverlet of snow. We watch the cold sunlight and the bright stars, maybe go for walks in the quiet land. All around us the season seems to reach a standstill, a point of repose." And there you have it, repose, rest. When it looked like the sun stood still and now seems as though the seasons stand still, we are the ones who might consider joining them for repose, for rest, reflect, renew. And yet here we are, having concocted so many activities that surround the newer holiday of Christmas, we find our lives could be just the opposite of repose. I have scheduled several concerts to attend, as well as a few to conduct. I will be making special food on Christmas Day to celebrate with a few invited friends. But I will also rest. There are birds to watch at Melanie's feeder across the way. There's a recliner in my living room that calls to me. There are flickering candles to watch. Over the years, many people have looked to the heavens, letting the cycles of the moon and the stars and sun guide them. Navigators on the high seas have used tools called sextants to find their way in relationship to the stars when they were out of sight of land. A few years after Mary birthed her first son and named him Jesus, Some astronomers trekked across deserts and fields to meet him. The story says that they followed a star, but I think there's more to that story that didn't make it to the editor. I think there were many astronomers making the journey, and they had more sophisticated knowledge of the heavenly orbs than was documented. They were both scientists and people of faith, and they knew that we are strongly connected to the powers of the universe beyond this planet. Many of my friends still look to the stars and planets with all their patterns and movement to predict life events and energy fields on the earth. To celebrate solstice is not to diminish any other celebrations you plan in December. It's to add to the richness and the beauty of this holy season. Here's a reading from Lenore, a shaman who lives on Whidbey Island in the Pacific Northwest. Darkness. The dominant culture teaches us to fear the rich, dark source of our deepest selves. We are birthed out of darkness and return to it frequently throughout our lives. The power to create and nurture lies within the dark womb. Every night, the dark comes and blesses us with rest and visions of the dream time. Love is often made in the dark as well. We close and cover our eyes, and in that darkness, we gain perception of the spirit world. In times when our lives feel chaotic and off track, when we feel in the dark, great transformations take place that we cannot perceive until we come out on the other side. It's always darkest just before the light. We often say this. When we die, our bodies return to the dark earth to begin the cycle of life anew. Most plants begin their lives as seeds in the dark womb of the earth. Many animals are active only in the dark night. The great dark depths of the oceans teem with life. Dark is as essential to life as light. If you choose to add solstice to your celebrations this year, I have a few suggestions. We might call them spiritual practices. Step outside on solstice evening. Celebrate that everyone in the world sees the same moon and is warmed by the same sun. Text someone you love who lives far away from you and make a time to be outdoors at the same time, looking at the same moon. Know that the two of you are making a triangle with the corners being heart, heart, moon. Feel the power of the night and embrace the mystery of how all things astronomical come to be. Or you could start a new Spotify playlist with the old Simon and Garfunkel song that begins, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." Step outside on solstice and read A Winter Solstice Prayer by Edward Hayes. It's from a book called Prayers for a Planetary Pilgrim, and it's at the end of this God Talk. Christmas is about religion with a deity to worship. Solstice is about spirituality and looking to all of creation as a mystery. Christmas brings expectation and doing. Solstice brings stillness and just being. Christmas is church and gifts and trees and concerts and baking, and mostly about watching for the light of the world to appear. Solstice is the beauty in darkness, breathing slowly, listening for the voice deep within. Christmas is people wearing finery and drinking fine wine. Solstice is the nakedness of our natural state. And yet these two sacred days arrive together on the cold breezes of late December, sisters with different fathers, and beloved each in her own right. However you celebrate this week, know that you are a beloved part of the creation of life. Be well and love one another. Our meditation today is a passage from a book called The Circle of Life. The title of the chapter is A Celebration of Winter Solstice. There is a tendency to want to hurry from autumn to spring, to avoid the long dark days that winter brings. Many people do not like constant days bereft of light and months filled with colder temperatures. They struggle with the bleakness of land and the emptiness of trees. Their eyes and hearts seek color. Their spirits tire of tasting the endless gray skies. There is great rejoicing in the thought that light and warmth will soon be filling more and more of each new day. But winter darkness has a positive side to it. As we gather to celebrate the first turn from winter to spring, we're invited to recognize and honor the beauty in the often unwanted season of winter. Let us invite our hearts to be glad for the courage that winter proclaims. Let us be grateful for the wisdom winter brings in teaching us about the need for withdrawal as an essential part of renewal. Let us also encourage our spirit as earth prepares to come forth from this time of withdrawal into a season filled with light. The winter solstice celebrates the return of hope to our land as our planet experiences the first slow turn toward greater daylight. Soon we will welcome the return of the sun and the coming of springtime. As we do so, let us remember and embrace the positive, enriching aspects of winter's darkness. Pause now to sit in silence in the darkness of the space, and let the space be a safe enclosure of creative gestation for you. I celebrate the holy night of Christmas and the mystery of solstice. Our music recommendation is a solo of O Holy Night. Blessings on all.